With 4 million sounds, what will you create? Take the free trial today.
Hello YouTube, welcome to a new scene anatomy video here from the Superbooth 20HE Home Edition. I'm here on the line with Mitch from Empress Effects. How are you?
Hey Tom, I'm good. Thanks for having me.
I hope you are fine and safe, but creative at the same time.
Yeah, I'm still doing the same thing I pretty much did before, which is hanging out at home with synths. So yeah,
Empress Effects is a company from?
we're based out of Canada. I actually work remotely from the US, but everyone else is in Canada, in Ottawa, which is actually the capital of Canada. And then yeah.
And how many people are working for Empress Effects? Is it already a bigger company, or how should...
We've been growing a lot lately after kind of the release of the Zoia. There's about 13 of us, maybe 12 to 13 people
Okay.
now.
And you are known for guitar pedals, and so you make, give people a little idea, that's Zoia, but mainly you're known for guitar pedals, so more in the guitar world.
Right. Yeah, this is our, so the Euroburo is our first Eurorack module. We started, as a guitar pedal, primarily an effect company. The tremolo was the first, well, there was a pedal before that, but that was just a switch, but the tremolo was the first kind of pedal.
And I think quite successful unit and also loved by synthesizer people is the ecosystem.
Yeah, I think because our reverb and our ecosystem are both stereo and they sound really well. They sound really good with synths, and they're popular with synth players more so than like I think a lot of things that maybe other guitar pedal companies produce.
And
as well as, sorry, go ahead.
No, go.
As well as the Zoia has been pretty popular with I think synth players.
As you know, already said, Zoia is your big seller. Your big move from the last year, or is already 2 years out?
Yeah,
How
it
long?
just turned 1 year.
1 year.
We
Okay.
we announced it 3 years ago at NAMM, I think, but development took a while. But and it's been out for a year, and it's probably our most popular pedal that we made. The Euroburo, the Eurorack version of the Zoia is what's coming next, and it is, I would say, it was in development at the same time as the pedal version.
Oh, okay.
But since we're a guitar pedal company, we did the pedal first, and we're able to get it out faster. Based on the success of that, we can support the Eurorack module now too.
I think we saw a lot of videos on YouTube. A lot of influencers or YouTubers have the Zoia in their setups. For the people who doesn't know what is Zoia, so can you give me a little brief explanation? What is Zoia and what makes it so special that people are hyping, or not hyping, but flipping around with it?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Zoia is like a digital modular workstation in a pedal form. Kind of, it's the workflow is kind of like pure data where your fingers are your patch cables, where you just push the buttons on the lights to patch them together, and each light represents a different patch point in a different module depending on the color coding, like the picture you can see there. But yeah, it's got about 80 different modules inside of it. From everything from our like classic effects, from reverbs, delays, phasers, flangers, all those kinds of things. And then it has a whole host of CV utilities, and then it has oscillators, quantizers, sequencers to make I think I have the most fun with it, just kind of making generative self-playing stuff.
Mhm.
But you could do that. You could, I think people like it, or it's been so successful because it's just kind of like a sandbox that you can do anything with in
Mhm.
pedal form. And for for guitar players, I think that's kind of something you don't really
Mind
get
blowing.
in. Yeah.
What was the reaction from guitar players? Because this thing is, yeah, very synthesizer oriented, or very what what was the reaction of the guitarist? Because they are a bit different how they work.
Right. I don't think it works for everyone necessarily, or every
Mhm.
guitar player, but I think some of them have really taken to it and kind of formed a community and, excuse me, and supported each other in kind of learning this. Also learning synthesis and how synthesizers work as well. And so it's been it that was kind of my experience with it too. But it's been really fun to see what people create. At first, it was kind of a lot of people are trying to recreate maybe another guitar pedal that they wanted inside the
Mhm.
Zoya, and then it's kind of evolved into people making really cool original patches of their own, where standalone as their own guitar pedal,
Mhm.
and also they share them too because they're all on patch storage.
Is there so there's a real community with patches available also?
Yeah, there's already I would say I would guess like thousands of patches
Wow.
uploaded on patch storage.
So
Um,
even if you don't have the time, or do you want to invest in this deep engine by patching your own, you can have near unlimited patches already. With
correct.
thousand, I think with 1,000 patches, you have a lot of time covered to play around. And for me, it looks like the interface a bit what the fuck.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's different, and for me, but what I hear from many people, it's very, very easy.
Yeah, I think so. The interface kind of is puzzling at first, but it's just a kind of a sand like a sandbox, so you can have multiple pages where you
Mhm.
scroll through and they do different things, but um, and it's not as I would say as menu divey as people might think it would be. And once you kind of learn the interface and what the few options on the top of the pedal do, there's no additional kind of figuring out complex button combinations or things. It's really straightforward.
Where when I saw it, I immediately think of where's the editor.
Right. That's a kind of a common thing, and I was talking to Ben Jordan from he does the Ben and Gear channel the other day, and he said the same thing because he was a beta tester and he wanted an
Mhm.
editor. He said about the first 2 hours he played with it, he wanted an editor before realizing that like an editor would probably take more time than how he was doing it on the pedal
Okay.
itself. Um, so yeah, I'll show you in a minute how
Mhm.
easy it is to patch.
And it's a growing list of features in this device, or is it actually fixed?
Oh,
Or
we keep updating it. We've updated the pedal. Now we're on 11 updates. A couple of them were just like housekeeping bug fixes, but most of them added new features.
Mhm.
And so in the last year, it's changed a lot. Um, you can do things that make it a lot easier to use. You can copy different pages. There's new modules. There's a granular
Mhm.
module.
Oh,
There's a couple other um, CV modules that are new. Then there's new colors on the lights and um,
and you have MIDI. Do you have stereo in out? I see MIDI over the DINs,
yes, TRS
Mhm.
A MIDI,
the
which
little adapters, and the
mhm,
micro SD card.
correct.
This is for?
That the micro SD card is for saving and loading patches, and with the next update, hopefully the next update coming soon, there will be a sampler module that you can save and load samples to the SD card.
Okay. Then this, as you said, it's more than just a pedal with effects. It's also a synthesizer and now also a sampler.
Correct.
And what you already said, you transformed this unit already in the development of Zoia in a Eurorack module.
Correct. Yeah, I'll switch my screen and show it to you right now. This is the Zoia Euroburo. So it's the desktop or Eurorack mountable version of Zoia. And the differences are that it has 4 CV in, 4 CV outs. It has 1/8" audio stereo out and a headphone jack. And yeah, there's a couple of them.
So of course, in the modular world, you have CV and CV out, and so all the effects can be manipulated, or how is it limited?
So they can be manipulated. I'll pull up one real quick. Let's see. This is I'll just add an effect. So, for example, as I scroll through these different effects, each one has a different number of lights. And that number of lights is how many parameters you can edit on the effect itself, as well as the in and out. So I'll place this overdrive on here, and the audio in is always the first light, and the audio out is always the last. So I could just patch that.
Okay.
See, I can just these buttons are dedicated for the audio in and out. So I just patch my left channel to the audio input, and then this has 2 extra lights, which are the input gain of the distortion and the output gain of the distortion. For example, I could modulate those internally with an LFO, or I could plug in an external LFO that I have here. I can change the view so you can see it as a waveform. I'll just speed it up so there you go. It's just a triangle wave. And that's going in. I can edit that wave on the Zoia where it can be I can change the input range to 0 to 5, 0 to 10, or -5 to 5 volts, as well as the output range, which in Zoia it works a little bit differently, where it's just the volts are scaled to -1 to 1 or 0 to 1.
So you have inside the Euroburo also LFOs and all these modulation possibilities.
Yes.
Okay.
And you can patch those up to any of the extra kind of lights. For example, I can patch that LFO into the distortion gain and modulate that. You can see it move back and forth.
The light system makes slowly for me sense.
Yeah, it's at first it's really hard to tell what's going on, but we wanted it pretty open-ended so you could make your own system. But for example, I can color code any of the lights. Like a reverb doesn't have to be yellow. It can be any color you want. You can kind of develop your own system, but you can also make, control pages. So I could have just a push button with a knob, and I can label that knob on the Zoia, so I'll always know what that push button, or that, not necessarily knob, but the value button does. I can relabel the CV ins and outs, so you always know where they're going. And
is there limits in sense of talking about processing power? Can I have 2 synthesizers, or only 1, or 20 effects, or what is the limits of the internal power of the
Yeah, it is limited as far as the DSP goes. For effects, it just depends on which effect you're using. The reverb is going to use the most kind of the reverb is going to use the most kind of DSP, or the most DSP heavy.
Okay.
And then that it's using the same processor as like our reverb pedal, and that so reverb may use up to like 30 to 35% of the DSP. Other things will use significantly less. Like if you use one delay line, it might be 1% of the DSP.
Mm-hmm. And some things like or the sampler, for example, would they take a lot, or is it possible to make even more samples that can be loaded at the same time, or?
Yeah, you can load multiple samples at the same time. The sampler is we're still testing it, but right now it's coming in at about 7% DSP.
That's okay.
So
And resampling the input, would that thing
yeah,
a topic?
Yeah, that's actually kind of what I made this this patch I'll show you for, which is I'm working with the sampler. I've got two samplers here, and you can see I've pitched them up like 1 and 2 octaves. Here's my and I'm feeding it back into the sampler. I've got a VCA controlling the level of the resampled sound, so it doesn't, over self-oscillator. I'll show you real quick this patch. This is my just generative drone sound. It's just a sine wave going in and a square saw wave going into a filter. There's a quantizer that's quantizing a random voltage here to create a random kind of sound. And that's all being fed into 2 samplers and a reverb. And I've got these push buttons are also new on the Euroburo, so they will work regardless of which page I'm on. They'll always have the same function. And one of them I have as my record button, and one's just my play for my sampler. So you may hear a little bit of popping here. It's still in beta, the sampler. So, but just for the sake of demonstration, I'll show you. I'll record this now, and then I'll play that back. And I don't know if you're hearing it in stereo, but it should pitch up in stereo. I've also got 2 delay lines that are running to the reverb to create kind of a bigger stereo spread. And then I can resample that again. And I can just keep resampling it. But yeah, there's my waveform. And I can modulate like the size or the start point, the length of it, the playback speed. The sampler module has a CV output when it's done playing. So I've connected that CV output to a couple clock dividers that I can send out to my other modules. And now I can trigger different things. I've got just a drum and a clap that I don't hear. And then I could record again. But yeah, that's just like one of the potential uses of the Zoia.
We could stream, I think, like 24 hours and we are not yet done with all the features and possibilities.
Right, yeah. We could go on and on
So,
about it.
so granular thing like granular to the sampler is possible or is coming maybe.
Yeah, you could
Yep.
do a granular to the sampler or sampler to the granular and then feed it back. Because you can route the effects and the synths and your external sound sources in any way you want.
Is it so modular that you can create also feedback loops and inside of in the sampler and then out again in the effects again inside?
Yeah, you could do all that.
Okay. That sounds really interesting. I think many people have a bit fear of the interface at the first look because it's a bit different than any other pedal or modular environment.
Yeah.
But what I saw now in the video is that it's quite logical designed, that has an input, output, and then the parameters.
Thanks.
Okay. So the Euroburo, how far is the development so far?
It's close. I think we should have we're hoping for a June release. It's kind of unpredictable right now with everything going on, but we're hoping for a June release.
Okay. And it becomes cheaper or expensive than
it will be more expensive. It'll probably be about $650 US. And then there will be an optional case. So you can buy it with or without the case.
How big must be your power supply to take it? Because there's always with the digital modules that they can take a bit of too much. Yeah.
Yeah, it's 300 milliamps.
Okay. So we can expect it for June and then June, July. Yeah.
Yeah.
Depends on the situation actually. And okay.
I think it'll be, yeah.
And it will be, and you ship it in Europe and in US. It will be available at the Eurorack dealers, or how? What is your distribution?
In the US, yeah, a lot of our dealers are like the Eurorack will be like the Eurorack stores. In Europe, I mean, I think we're mostly in guitar stores. There's Thomann, but
yeah,
I think. Yeah, there's
Schneidersladen and Signal Sounds and other modular stores in Europe.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I hope so. I only manage. I don't deal directly with the modular stores in Europe. I just deal with our distributors, so I'm not sure on their stores as much as the US.
So we see it in June in the first cases. So I'm looking forward to see it and to hear the experimentations of the musicians.
Great, yeah, me too. I'm excited about it. I think modular users will take to it a lot faster than the guitar players did.
What I not ask, updating works on the modular over USB or SD card, or
it is an SD card, and the SD card will work for the sampler as well as the updates and adding new patches and sharing patches.
Okay. Big thanks, Mitch.
Yeah, thank you, Tom.
I hope you enjoyed the Superbooth 20 Home Edition.
Yeah.
I wish you good luck with this new module, and then hope to see you also next year at Superbooth 2021.
Yeah, absolutely.
In Berlin.
I hope to see you there.
Big thanks for this.
Thanks.
And hope to see you again.
Cheers.
And big thanks for watching. And if you have questions, let me know in the comments below. Big thanks. See you soon in the next Superbooth 20 Home Edition videos. Bye.